Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North, our top story tonight. England's largest onshore wind farm could be coming to Yorkshire's moorland, but the plans are facing opposition.
If you're going to build wind turbines, do not put them on the most protected wildlife and habitat sites that you can find.
It could mean cheaper energy for some people living nearby. Also tonight, Philip Woodcock was planning his retirement. Today, a delivery worker is jailed for life for his murder in a row at work. Modern machine or menace? There's criticism over delays to laws on e-scooters. And I've been out on a bin round in Sheffield as my job swapping for children in need continues.
And it's still pretty wild out there. Winds are gusting in excess of 60 miles an hour. Join me for the very latest week ahead forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Plans have been submitted for the largest onshore wind farm in England. It could be built on the moors above Hebden Bridge and might mean cheaper energy bills for some people in Calderdale. The proposal would see 65 turbines covering a space of more than 5,000 football pitches. Each one would be around 450 feet tall, which is twice the height of York Minster or 30 double-decker buses. The company behind the plan says they will generate enough power to fuel more than 286,000 homes every year. But the moor is a blanket bog, and opponents say building turbines will release more carbon into the atmosphere than it actually saves. Here's Spencer Stokes.
A vast Pennine landscape, 5,000 acres of bleak, exposed moorland. The isolation of Walshaw Moor makes it seem like the ideal location for a wind farm. But there's a snag. This is also a blanket bog, so building anything here becomes controversial.
Near that wooded bit, but further
Just
over.
beyond. Wildlife campaigners are now gearing up for a fight to safeguard the moor.
We've got wind turbines here already, and most of us really like them. I've got wind turbines, I can see them from my house, I'm really happy with them. My main concern is, if you're going to build wind turbines, do not put them on the most protected wildlife and habitat sites that you can find, which this area is. And I think it's very short-sighted to think that putting a massive wind turbine farm on blanket bog is anything other than a crazy idea.
Large wind farms started appearing in the 1990s, like this one at nearby Ovenden Moor. But in England, onshore developments were effectively banned in 2015. That ban was lifted in September, and this is the first proposal to come forward. Calderdale Council's planners now have the task of establishing what's the best way of reducing carbon emissions. Is it building a wind farm here, or is it leaving the landscape untouched so that the carbon buried beneath the ground in the peat isn't released?
If we put wind farms on peat, which is an important storage for carbon, we can disturb that peat and damage it, releasing carbon into the atmosphere. But on the other hand, if the peat isn't in the condition it should be, really wet, great peat with good sphagnum moss, there's a possibility you could say, we'll give you permission for the wind farm on condition that you then do loads of improvements to that moorland.
In recent years, heather has been burned on Walshaw Moor to aid grouse shooting. Protesters have called for that to stop, arguing it adds to flooding in the valley. The wind farm would bring an end to burning and shooting, but some nearby residents are unconvinced. We bumped into Leanne, who uses the moor for dog walking.
This area needs protecting. It's totally unfeasible. The roads are quite inaccessible to this area. The machinery that it'll take and the number of trips to bring all the concrete and everything that goes with it, it's just going to destroy the landscape.
Here in the UK, where we are one of the windiest countries in the world, this is kind of a no-brainer. Electricity embedded where people live that you can give, hopefully slightly subsidised. Producing electricity with wind is the cheapest way of making electricity, bar none.
Leave the blanket bog as it is, or harness the power of the wind. An environmental dilemma high above a town well aware of the impact of climate change.
Let's discuss this further with Spencer. This is a huge project, isn't it, scale-wise? Who is behind it and what have they had to say?
Yeah, the applicant is a company called Calderdale Wind Farm, but they're backed by a much bigger global energy firm known as Worldwide Renewable Energy, who have wind farms in the Middle East and also in North America. They've described this as an incredibly exciting opportunity, and they say that during a cost of living crisis, the UK needs to explore more ways to generate clean, green electricity. They also say their proposals are at a very early stage, and they admit that there will be a range of views about what they say are the merits of the proposal. I think the Calderdale Council has been hit by what planners call max ambition here. They're asking for 65 huge turbines, but the applicant may be hoping to get less than that, fewer turbines perhaps on a smaller site, and the planning application will happen next year.
And they are saying that they'll reinvest into the community, aren't they?
Yes, they're saying that they'll put £75 million into the community over the course of 30 years, and that will help reduce fuel poverty in the Calder Valley. There are 286,000 homes across that would benefit from the electricity as well. But obviously, that wouldn't be local homes, that just goes into the grid across the country. Additionally, they're saying that there could be some solar and also battery storage on the moor. Battery storage is also becoming more controversial as we're seeing more of those developments proposed.
I'm sure we'll keep coming back to this story, Spencer. Thank you. Next tonight, a suspended courier driver who stabbed his manager to death in a row about wages has been jailed for life. Ronald Sekenyako murdered Philip Woodcock at a FedEx depot in Rotherham. Olivia Richwald has been following the case. She's at the depot for us now. Olivia.
Philip Woodcock was a manager here at the FedEx depot near Rotherham. He was close to retirement and looking forward to travelling in his retirement with his wife. They'd been together for 40 years. He was described as considerate, caring and gentle. But Philip Woodcock was brutally murdered here in front of his colleagues just over a year ago. The perpetrator was Ronald Sekenyako, aged 49, a courier driver for FedEx. Sheffield Crown Court heard that he'd been suspended from work for allegedly stealing fuel. He had complained about that suspension and also about not being paid, and the court was told he had mounting debts and had received threatening letters from bailiffs. In November last year, he walked into this depot armed with 2 knives and a hammer, and he stabbed Mr. Woodcock in the heart in front of colleagues. Tragically, Sekenyako had just been paid his final invoice of about £700 just an hour before the murder. In a statement to Sheffield Crown Court, Mr. Woodcock's wife said he was the most caring and honest man and had a wacky sense of humour. Everyone around him was affected by this and his laughter. He was my best friend. Mr. Woodcock's brother said, "The loss of Phil has destroyed everything we once enjoyed. He was the most gentle, caring person. No one could comprehend he would suffer violence of any kind." And his son said, "The best man I ever knew was snatched away in the prime of his life." Well, a jury had found Sekenyako guilty of murder, of actual bodily harm and 3 counts of possessing an offensive weapon. And today he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 27 years.
So sad, Olivia, thank you. You're watching Monday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. Tributes on the ice. Fans return to Sheffield Arena 2 weeks after witnessing a fatal collision during a Steelers match. Let's take a look at some other stories coming into our newsroom now. 2 teenagers accused of murdering a 17-year-old boy in Huddersfield have changed their pleas to guilty. Harley Brown was stabbed to death in February. The boys, who are aged 14 and 16 and cannot be named because of their ages, previously denied murder. They will now be sentenced in December. The mother of a woman killed by her ex-colleague has said that her family's heart had been ripped out by her death. Gracie Spinx was murdered near Chesterfield in 2021. Today, the inquest into her death heard a series of statements from Gracie's relatives. Ollie Constable has more.
The glue that held our family together. That's how Gracie Spinx was described today at an inquest looking at how she was killed in June 2021. She was found stabbed to death at her horse's yard near Chesterfield, believed to have been killed by her former co-worker and obsessed stalker, Michael Sellers. Today, Chesterfield Coroner's Court heard how the killing tore her family apart. Statements read out to the jury described how Gracie's death had changed her family forever. Her sister Abby said she was the funniest girl you could ever meet, the soul of our family, our best friend, and she deserves so much more. I don't know what to do without her. I am lost. Well, over the course of the last few weeks, the court has heard how Gracie called police to report Sellers, saying she found his obsessive behaviour creepy. Months later, she would be killed. Her brother Thomas told the court he wishes he could swap places with Gracie, but would never want to wish the pain he feels on a daily basis on her. And Gracie's mother, Alison, fought back tears as she described how Gracie's bedroom remained untouched from the day she died. Her bed still not made, her towels still on the radiator. She said they went from a very happy family to a silent house. Their heart had been ripped out. She said the death of my beautiful daughter has left the whole family devastated. Every day is a struggle. The inquest continues. Ollie Constable, BBC Look North, Chesterfield.
Now, I'm sure you've seen plenty of these around. They're e-scooters, but did you know that they're only legal to ride on private land or from special hire schemes? There's now criticism that the new safety laws have been delayed by the government, even though it's 3 years since the start of a pilot project in York. James Vincent went for a ride.
This is the only place in Yorkshire where you're allowed to ride an electric scooter. York. For the last 3 years here, an official e-scooter trial has been running. Over 500,000 trips have been taken so far. The UK is one of the last places in Europe to actually make any laws about how you can use these things. You can buy your own e-scooter, but you're not allowed to ride it in public. And there's frustration there was no update to scooter laws in last week's King's Speech.
I went over the bonnet, knocked off their wing mirror, which I politely handed back through the window to them.
Even from someone who's been knocked off one.
I think a lot of the problem with people's accessibility to this kit is the confidence to ride when you're in amongst buses and cars, you know, and indeed, as I know, getting knocked off. What you want is to have the segregated infrastructure so that you actually draw people away from their cars.
Last year and this year, we're looking at more like 1,500 people who are injured in collisions involving e-scooters. And sadly, there were 12 who died last year. PAC's recording of all fatalities involving collisions with e-scooters is now at 37. That's 6 this year.
Pavement should be that safe space where all people with sight loss, whether you're a guide dog owner or a non-cane user or not, can get around safely. But between e-scooters riding, being dumped, dockless bikes being ridden and dumped, pavement parking, it's just adding to making a much more difficult environment for people to get around.
The government's promised to consult later this year on regulations including minimum rider ages and maximum speed for private scooters.
Disappointed to not have anything included in the King's Speech. Our vehicles are speed limited and also restricted on where they can and can't go. For example, you can't ride them through the foot streets in York. On a private e-scooter, you'd be able to just go through the centre of town like on a bike. So there's lots of additional safety features that the shared schemes benefit from that regulation would hopefully transfer across to the private market too.
James Vincent, BBC Look North, York.
Sally's here now with the sport and an emotional return to the ice for the Steelers this weekend, Sal.
It has been, yeah, that's right. Yes, the Sheffield Steelers had their first game back at the arena this weekend since the death of Nottingham Panthers player Adam Johnson. He died after his neck was cut during a match 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, more than 8,000 fans turned out to pay tribute to him in what was an emotional return to the ice.
The Steelers had appealed to their supporters to come home, and on Sunday they did. With fresh floral tributes piled high, fans gathered at the arena where 2 weeks ago many had witnessed the fatal collision on the ice.
To see somebody go down like that, it were upsetting. Look, it really
stays with you. Probably stay with you for a long time, won't it?
Yeah,
very long time.
Before the game against Coventry began, members of the Royal Air Force laid a wreath on the ice for Remembrance Sunday. And then the wreath for Adam Johnson, carefully carried by Steelers and Coventry's head coaches. A 2-minute silence followed. And then the applause for Nottingham's number 47. With more than 8,000 fans in attendance, the club couldn't have asked for a greater show of support.
We're a loyal fan base and we'll always rally around our players, but I'm amazed that this many people have been able to take that step and come back to the arena. It's really tough, to be honest with you, harder than I thought walking through the doors, but it's nice to be back home. It's difficult but nice.
The Steelers won the game against Coventry Blaze 2-1 after overtime, and head coach Aaron Fox says he's proud of the resilience his team have shown.
This was a very, very emotional 2 games for us. We knew we wanted to get back playing as quick as possible, because the longer you wait, the more the build-up is, and they committed themselves all week to getting just a little bit better every day. So we're going to be dealing with this for a long time, but the way they've supported each other, the way they've stuck together is just nothing short of sensational.
And it was a sensational show of support from Sheffield for Nottingham's Adam Johnson.
A really moving tribute there. Now to other sports, and Sheffield's Bryony Page has won her 2nd individual trampoline world title at the World Championships in Birmingham. The 2-time Olympic medalist won gold by completing an extremely difficult routine and pulling it off to perfection. Page made history in the sport when she became Team GB's first ever trampoline medalist, winning silver at the 2016 Rio Olympics. In football, Rotherham United have sacked manager Matt Taylor, with the club now 22nd in the Championship. His final match was their 5-0 defeat at Watford on Saturday. The Millers are 4 points from safety. Taylor had been with the Yorkshire club for 13 months and kept Rotherham up last season, but he departs after just 2 wins from their 16 league games. And Leeds United are on the hunt for promotion back to the Premier League and beat Plymouth Argyle. They went ahead at Ellen Road through Dan James. Less than 10 minutes later, Joel Pierrot scored his 6th league goal of the season. Plymouth did pull one back, but Leeds held on for another 3 points. And Harrogate Town claimed a 4th consecutive away win in the EFL for the first time ever. They beat Walsall 1-0 thanks to substitute George Thompson's late strike from distance. Harrogate are 14th in League 2. And that for now, Amy, is your sport.
Thank you very much, Sal. Pudsey Bear is back, and as always, we hope that you will take part in raising money which changes the lives for local children for the better. One of the projects in our region to benefit from Children in Need funding is Bumpy in West Yorkshire. It's been running for almost 35 years and encourages children to make new friends and challenge themselves by learning about motorbikes.
Hi, I'm Caroline Kenzie and I'm Project Manager of Bumpy, versatile urban motorcycle project for youth. Mason, welcome to Bumpy. Kian, welcome to Bumpy. You have all got to ride a motorcycle in a place that you are allowed.
So this bike has electric start.
The grant money from Children in Need is allowing us to work with groups of young people who are suffering with problems coming out of lockdown, where they've been isolated, and we've been able to engage with them down here and let them work through their issues. I think they get the feeling they can just empty their heads and feel free whilst they're riding a bike, not thinking about any external pressures and having some fun.
Hi, I'm Scarlett, I'm from Morley and I've been coming to Bumpy for like 2.5 years. I got directed here by West Yorkshire Police. They were like, come try this out, it might help you, it might come relax you and stuff. It's a good programme to be in. It's made a very proper big impact. I've started coming out my show a bit towards my friends, go up to people to have a conversation if I go to a party or like an event with my family, not like I used to at all.
I'm Mark, I'm Scarlett's dad. Scarlett comes here quite regularly now, and she's also inspired her sister to come along too. It's made a world of difference. Before, Scarlett would spend most of her time sat in a bedroom. We came down here, a bit quiet to start with, and within, an hour, she was riding on her own, completely focused in what she was doing, and the issues that she'd had completely gone.
It's very exciting to ride. You can't really hear all around you, so none of the beeping noises are out, like normally doing cars. Don't really like cars. On motorbike, you just hear the wind, like the air, and you get to see more stuff.
We are unique with the only project like this running in the country, and I just think that our local area should celebrate the fact that we have got this here and young people can benefit from coming through. Thank you for supporting BBC Children in Need. It's Children in Need on Friday, and the theme for this year's fundraiser is Challenge Yourself. In case you hadn't heard, I've been doing just that with a series of job swaps. Doing a bin round is certainly different to doing this. It is a job swap, so it's over to my new colleagues.
Hi, I'm Carl.
And I'm Joel.
We work for Veolia Waste Management. I've been there for around 17 years now. It's a great team, but the job can be physically demanding, especially with the Yorkshire weather.
And we walk around 13 miles a day. Most customers lovely, even if they do put the wrong items in the wrong bins.
Let's see. I'll aim it on.
Morning.
Carl, are you ready for this?
Ready for it here, mate. I hope you can get 2 bins on.
All right, Amy.
Morning. It's like a rose between two thorns, isn't it?
Something like that, correct.
Let's get going. So what's the plan today, Carl? What we're doing?
We're going to go and complete some roads, empty some containers, domestic containers, and hopefully keep the public happy and Sheffield clean.
How many bins do you normally do on a round?
Between 12 and 1,500 a day.
1,500 a day?
Yeah, a day, yeah.
Wow, and how long does that take?
Well, it depends on your crew you're working with, you see. You've all got to be in the same frame of mind to get the bins on.
Well, you've got me today, so we could be here till next week emptying those bins.
Oh no, we'll get a move on. Joel will help you out.
This is my first real bin. See how I get on. Oh, it's lighter than I was expecting, actually. To the side. Yay! First one done, Joel. Woohoo! Joel, do you get many people running down the street in the 90s after you?
Oh, we do get quite a few.
That's like me. Every morning. This one absolutely stinks. Oh. How do you cope with the smell?
It's one of the things where you get used to it, you know, like when you have kids and you start changing nappies and that, you can just get used to it, don't you? It's sort of similar sort of thing to that.
Putting them back, that's the most awkward bit. And remembering where you got them from in the first place. Because I know I don't like it if my bin is outside someone else's house.
Come on then, big moment. Can she do 2? Story of a bin man, this. If you can get 2 on, we're laughing.
Carl's watching me, so can't let him down on this one. She got a double.
Well done, Amy. You're ready to be part of the team now.
How do you think I did?
Top banana. Hey, you got 2 on. There's people that are here now that still can't get 2 on.
I'm a natural.
Natural. Come and get this tip now.
Now, what's this nickname you've given me?
Well, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Was it that bad?
It was that bad. Had one. Amy had one.
Now, I was thinking of you both this morning because it was torrential downpours. It was a gorgeous day when we filmed that, but it's a bit different on days like today, isn't it, Joel?
Well, yeah, but, you know, you just have to take the rough with the smooth. If you like a job working outdoors, and that's one of the things I like about my job, then you can't really complain about the weather, especially not in Yorkshire.
Carl, I'm really surprised that there aren't more women doing this job.
Yeah, me too, because it's quite an accepting team, you know. The lads are open to anybody and everything, really. We have had women in the past, but we don't really seem to stick it out, and I don't know why. My partner said she'd love to be a bin person.
So are you taking me on? Am I a new recruit?
Yeah.
There's always a space.
And I got 2 bins.
You got 2 bins, yeah, you did, you got 2. Eventually.
Eventually. Thank you so much for looking after me. I had a brilliant time.
Yeah, it was good.
You're welcome.
Really
The good people of Sheffield are lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, BBC Radio Sheffield, Leeds and York are doing their own job swaps. Rima Ahmed is working as a school lunchtime assistant. Ellie Colton becomes a polar bear keeper. Joanita Massisis is trying her hand as a stonemason. Beck Homer as a train conductor, and Toby Foster is coaching an under-7s football team. Not sure what Paul Hudson's doing. We'll ask him in a minute. We'll show all the highlights later this week. If you'd like to show your support for our efforts by donating to BBC Children in Need, you can donate any amount you like online at bbc.co.uk/Pudsey. Thank you very much in advance. So when's your job swap, Paul?
Well, I think it's challenging enough working with you, don't you, Amy?
Can
you imagine up doing those bins when it were like 40 degrees the previous summer?
Can you imagine doing it this morning in that wind? Was that forecast? Because Carl says you don't get it right very often.
My bin man came at 6:30 this morning. The less said about that, the better. Right, let me show you a couple of pictures that have come in from Wensleydale, because there has been some flooding there. That's at Apperset. That, I think, is by the River Ure, outside Halls. That's the A684. Just goes to show just how much water is in these river networks, together with wind speeds that have reached 68 miles an hour at Emley Moor in West Yorkshire. So it has been wild out there. If you've got any more pictures, I've just got one picture of a tree down near Skipton. I'm sure there are others. The winds are going to moderate fairly quickly, but we've got that warning in place until around about 9 o'clock this evening. So take care on the roads, but after that, as I say, the wind will ease considerably. Then it's a real messy looking chart. We've got these weak weather fronts bringing some patchy rain at times. There'll be drier, brighter spells too, particularly on Wednesday, and perhaps this ridge on Friday means things will settle down ahead of another bout of wet and windy weather next weekend. There's a swirl associated with Storm Debbie. As I say, the peak wind speeds at the moment 68 miles an hour at Emley Moor. We've had 67 further east, but these lines of showers will move through fairly quickly, and eventually we'll see some decent clear spells as temperatures drift back to 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow's high water times, Farley 4:22, Bridlington at 4:33, so considerably less windy. There will be showers, perhaps quite heavy from the word go across North and West Yorkshire, gradually sinking southwards. So South Yorkshire might start dry and bright, but those showers will move in. We'll see top temperatures around 12 or 13. Very quickly, Wednesday, a little bit better, drier periods, 1 or 2 showers, rain later on Thursday. More at 10:30. That's the forecast.
I could offer you a shift on a dairy farm if you're interested.
I won't mind that, yeah, I'll do that.
6 a.m. in the morning, see you there. That's it from us. Good night.